by Anton Le Saux from Zest4.
Hi, how you doing?
Welcome to us this afternoon. Just to help our audience understand a little bit about yourself and Zest4.
About myself, yes. Anton Le Saux, I head up the M2M IoT sales at Zest4. At Zest4 we are a unified comms provider to channel. We started off just providing sort of mobile services, then moved into fixed line services, hosted services, digital services, and for the past 2 years we've been selling IoT and M2M services into channel. We are channel enthusiasts, so the board at Zest4 launched Zest4 5.5 years ago, but prior to that they were the same board that owned Yes Telecom, and prior to that another a channel provider. So it's something that we've done for years, and like to feel that we're really skilled at and got some great relationships in channel now.
I mean, it's embedded in every walk of life now in terms of data collection points and where we're capturing data and how we're starting to understand how to use the data. Yeah. What would you see as, I guess, the sort of top areas of focus in IoT?
In IoT? Yeah. So it's hard. When we're working through channel partners, it's hard to just see one particular vertical or one particular area, but we're seeing sort of growth right across the piece. Vehicle telematics, as an example, have been around forever. You would assume that it's been done to death, but the fact that technology is moving so quickly, year on year, month on month sometimes, there's always a new solution, or there's always something to go out there. So vehicle telematics and asset tracking, the basic stuff, is still in growth mode, but we're now starting to see things like smart cities and smart buildings that are coming to effect. So we're seeing different types of technology being employed. So instead of just your core M2M solution, whereas two machines talking with a SIM in each machine, passing a bit of cellular data, we're seeing a lot more other technologies being employed now to transmit that data, and we're actually connecting things now as opposed to just machines.
And where do you think it's growing quickest? Is it in the consumer space, or is it in the business to business space?
I think the consumer space, we're still waiting for the explosion there.
Right.
And I think we're missing a few pieces of technology before we'll see that in the consumer space. It's the business space we're growing. And the things that are, I suppose, accelerating it, if you look at the smart metering project, and a load of councils are looking at sort of how they can be greener in the way that they do things. So they're using sort of IoT services to connect things like meters or to connect buildings. Businesses are now seeing what's being done within the smart buildings or smart city space, and then thinking about actually how can I employ that probably on a smaller scale within my own organisation. One of the key things that we look at is when we're talking to a customer, is there anything in your business that you control, monitor or measure? Because if there is, you could probably cut out some of the human interaction and automate it using an IoT solution. I think that's where we're starting to see people grasp it and think about, well actually, yeah, I could do that differently.
But it's how you apply it to automate the process rather than just the focus on the data capture or the metrics.
That's the key, and that's where sort of your specialists come in, because there's no point collating data from an asset, from a machine or from something if you can't make any sense of that data or do anything with it. So it's about having the endpoints in your machines, in your assets, in your people, collating the data into a central point and then making sense of it using a smart platform, which is what I think is the difference between IoT and M2M. M2M was as I said earlier, two machines talking to each other and passing data. IoT is about collating data from anything that's connected, bringing it into a smart place and being able to do something with that data or make sense of it to your own benefit.
And how do you find the market in terms of, presumably you're starting to look at partnering with other partners around the actual storage of the data and how that's done, or is that something that Zest4 do themselves?
No, so we do partner, and we partner really well. So partnering is our ethos. So because we don't sell anything direct, we partner with people who are going to sell our services. But we also, because we've got over 220 partners now, we're not working in one particular vertical. It would be impossible for us to have everything that would suit every IoT need on our shelves in our storeroom. So again, we partner the other side. So we have a number of developers that will work on bespoke solutions for us. but we also are constantly looking for partners that can fix a need or find a need or bring a solution to an end user for us. And I think that's the great thing about events like this, because we've picked up potentially 2 or 3 leads, not necessarily partners that are going to sell our services, but partners whose services we can utilise within our portfolio to offer something different to our resellers.
And it's quite a challenge, isn't it? Because on the one hand, if you just take a building and you make that a smart building and you're capturing data to say, look, our challenge is reduce carbon footprint, electricity, utility costs, you can create real focus on that, but actually you've got to, in some areas, get to critical mass, like a smart motorway, before you start to see the real benefits to the end recipients, us all as travellers and motorists.
What you can do, it's generally add-on things. So I use an example. We started with an organisation that has refrigerated warehouses, and I mean big, massive refrigerated warehouses, not just little fridges. And they used to have a manual system for monitoring it, but we put a system in there where they could automate it. So we use LoRa technology rather than 3G, because the LoRa devices have got a working range of about 1 kilometre, all reported into one central hub, and then use the 4G connectivity to pull it into a portal. But on the back of that, and the success of that, we then use the same portal and the same data management solutions to start monitoring energy usage, water and electricity.
Yep.
We then got the developers to look at some Legionnaire sensors to look at that side of it. And we're now talking to them about sort of bin fill sensors. So one organisation that had a desire to just automate checking temperatures basically, have then utilised similar solutions in the same platform to build on and develop and go further. And that's where we're seeing sort of growth. So it's hard to go into somebody and say, do you want to buy some IoT?
Oh, absolutely.
But once they've got a solution in, it then gets people thinking, what else could I be doing? And you get that snowball
It's a
effect.
proper business outcomes discussion, isn't it? Which
Yeah,
we're all trying to
IoT,
have.
why? So where's the benefit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you touched on the fact that it isn't critical mass in CP, or it's a lot harder. What do you think is going to change to actually enable that?
So I think so. The key things are sort of new technologies, and the thing that's exciting me, because I've been in this industry for a while, using sort of 4G, 25 years nearly now, in cellular. But the thing that's exciting me is the Narrowband Iot Propositions. So the fact that the mobile networks are looking at launching, probably as early as next year, Narrowband IoT, so a low power sort of network, that will start to open up the IoT market space, because as soon as you start using the low power technology, the sensors will be less than half the price that we're paying for 4G sensors now. The delivery of the data, it will go so much further, so much deeper. You won't need as many sort of cell sites to transmit that data.
So is the 5G implementation and the fact 5G will come out, that'll make a massive difference to your market?
So depends where you look at. So 5G will make a difference in the bigger data propositions.
Yes.
Somebody that's streaming a lot of data or wants big packets of information quickly. Generally in the IoT space, it's small packets of data, little bits of information, and that's what the narrowband will do. So I think the narrowband.
So the technology is nearly there then for that, is what you're saying.
And I think once the networks get that right, we're probably, let's say, early part of next year for a launch, maybe 2 years before they get it right. I've worked in a mobile network before, so
where will we see that? What would be visible?
That's when it will start to open up the consumer marketplace, because effectively you should be getting to a point where it will be cost effective to be able to have a sensor that's going to be used once or twice. The opening of a box, where did it go to, where did it end up, when was it open type of solution. I know we're some way from that, but the narrowband IoT piece will open up that consumer space. And when you see the analysts talking about 50,000 or 50 million sort of connections, it's that type of thing that we're looking at. So connecting everything rather than just connecting a business device. And that's where we're going.
And you think, obviously, the cost of the sensors you mentioned is going to come down, or it's envisaged that it will fall. Is that also an incentive enough for people to go, actually, I can build a better business case, more realistic, because I can genuinely change this to a smart
I think
center?
so, because you can start to make everything smart there. I mean, the price of sensors have differed massively in the past sort of 3 to 5 years. As soon as you start sort of exporting things from China, the price just comes right down.
But it's also a mindset thing, isn't it? That we think actually we can measure this, and therefore that changes the way we look at it to make it smart.
But with the narrowband stuff, it will reduce it even further. So the more cost efficient it becomes to implement a solution, the wider the solution is going to spread, and the quicker it's going to spread.
Fantastic, Anton. Really, really interesting talking to you.
No problem.
And hearing about Zest4. It's a fantastic show, so really appreciate your time.
Anytime.
Go and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.